Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Facebook Live. My name is Rachel Trout, and I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and you can find me here on my page. Nap time is stamp time. So today I have a fun little class for you, and we are going to be using the Tricks and Treats bundle. We're going to be making a cute little treat bag and then 2 cards. And I do have a host code today, because if you make a purchase with me this week, today through the 26th, using that host code, I'm going to send you a PDF tutorial for these 3 projects. If you are not in the position to order this week, I am going to tell you all of the measurements and products I used in the video, so you can go off of that. The PDF tutorial is just a little bonus for those who order. If you spend more than $50 this week, I will send you the all of the pieces to make these projects. And if your order is over $60, I'm also going to include a free package of rhinestones, which I used on the 2 cards today. So that's a little ordering incentive for you if you'd like to do these projects yourself. And lost my train of thought there. I will put a link up in the description when I'm done. And it'll be a shopping link that already has this host code attached. So that will make it super easy for you to make sure you get this class kit if you would like it. Okay, we are going to start with this little treat bag today. And I guess before we do that, I should show you the bundle. I had a post up about this on Monday, so you can scroll down and see pictures of this bundle in action if you'd like. It is a stamp set and die bundle. It is perfect for Halloween. You've got some fun Halloween images. These 2 faces made me think of the McDonald's treat buckets that you can get this time of year, and I thought that was super fun. But the showstopper of this bundle is the dies. And even if you are not too excited about Halloween projects or a Halloween stamp set, you might consider buying the dies anyways. The best part is this big die right here, and it's what we're going to use to make the little treat bag. You don't have to do it for Halloween. I'm going to show you a sample that is a Christmas bag. Maybe you saw my little peek of that the other day. These are to cut holes so you can tie your ribbons. You have pieces to make candy corns, which are super fun. You've got the word boo, so if you're just buying the dies, not the stamp set, you could still do Halloween stuff even without having the stamps. There's this cute little tag that will fit tiny little greetings. Of course, we've got some dies that cut out images in the stamp set, the face and the house. We're going to be using those today. And then you've got this fun zigzag. You can use this to create a different top for your bag. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I also have another fun use for this die that I'll show you at the end. You've got a second one of those little tags. You can cut 2 at once. They're exactly the same, I believe. You've got a fun little ghost. We're going to use him on one of our cards. And then this label right here, the Trick or Treat from the stamp set, fits right in there. But I'm going to show you another use for that one too. Really, you can use this on any project for any sentiment. So these dies are very, very versatile, and I think they are a great add to your craft room. Okay, so we're going to get started with the treat bag. We'll move our other things out of the way. So when you make a treat bag like this, you are going to use that die and cut 2 pieces. It does the cutting and the scoring for you. So I've used a slightly different pattern on this one. This is the Them Bones Designer Series paper. It is some fun Halloween paper. And of course it goes with another Halloween bundle in our catalog, which the dies are back in stock now, so that is kind of fun. So this one is like a herringbone pattern. I think that's what it's called, but it's little bats. Isn't that cute? And then, of course, this is the bones. So before we fold and assemble this, I did bring my die cutting machine, and I'm going to show you how to cut that top edge to make it the zigzag. Now you'll want to do this before you assemble your bag, and this fits just about perfectly to cut off that top edge and make it a zigzag pattern. This one will not fit in your mini machine. It is too wide. So I've pulled in my big machine, and I don't know how well this is going to work on the camera. You'll see it come through the other side probably, because it is just too big. But I'm going to line it up like I showed you, and you'll see it when it comes through. You don't want to cut off too much because your bag will get short unless you're going for a short bag. And I'm just using a little bit of my purple washi tape here to hold that die in place where I want it, so I get a straight line across the top. And you just want to kind of keep an eye on how much you're cutting off at the top, so you can get it pretty similar on the other piece when you do that one as well. So I'm going to run this through. And then I'll show you how I lined up that other piece. Just a second here. So now we've got this fun zigzag pattern on the top. Now you will want to pay attention if you are using paper that is directional. When you cut your bag pieces, you want to make sure that your pattern is going in the direction you want it. So again, I'm just going to line up, and I just cut a little bit off of the top of my other piece, so that's what I'm going to do here. And I'm just using my washi tape to hold that in place so it doesn't go all crooked on us. Okay, we'll run that one through. Now, I find these long straight dies like this, they do go through a little bit easier if you put them the other way, but it doesn't really fit that way. So, I mean, well, maybe it would. I guess I should do that. It would fit that way. If you put it like this, it cuts a little easier. I thought it wasn't going to go that way, but it does. So that would be my recommendation, to make it turn that way. All right, let's move that out of the way. Okay, so now we've got our two treat bags. Oh, I guess I shouldn't have moved it out of the way. Well, maybe I'm going to do this one different. So the other thing that you can do is cut the ribbon holes. And to be honest, they're a little futzy. At least they were for me. First of all, I don't think I cut my ribbon quite long enough. I have tiny little handles on my bag. And I had to tie 2 knots to get it thick enough so it would not come back through the hole. There are 2 different sizes here, so we have larger ones and smaller ones. I used the smaller ones, and I still had to tie 2 knots. And for me personally, I probably wouldn't take that much time. It is cute, but not cute enough that I want to spend that much time on it, to be honest. I'm going to show you another way that I did. So this is the first way that I did this one. And this one, I used the larger one. And it is spaced so you can fit it and cut, you know, both holes at the same time on both sides. What I did is I just cut one at a time and put one on each side so I could have just one handle. That worked well too. But this one I did just tie around because that hole was way too big to make a knot that would not go back through it. If you had a larger ribbon, you might be able to do that. I think we'll do the ribbon a different way on this one. And if you order and get the class kit, you can use your own ribbon and embellishments. I'm not going to include those, so you can decide if you want to add ribbon or not. I'll show you some more examples of these bags, and I used some ribbons, but I didn't do little handles on any of them. And like I said, that's more my personal preference. But if you were going to cut ribbon holes, you would line this up, and I would use my washi tape again and send it through, and then you have little holes for your ribbon, which is pretty cool, but it's a little too futzy for me. Okay, so now I'm going to fold on these score lines, and we're going to create our little bag. Sometimes it's hard to see the lines on the patterned paper. There we go. If you are cutting pieces of the bag and you would like to know the size, if you cut a piece of paper that is 4 3/4 by 5 1/2, that is the size of one piece of the bag. So You can use cardstock too. I just used patterned paper because it was fun. Okay, so I'm going to use tear and tape to hold this together. This is a little bit stronger adhesive, and hopefully it will hold up to whatever treats I put in this bag. You could also use your liquid glue. I know lots of people like that for 3D items. So I'm going to put a piece of tear and tape all along these skinny edges. And then I'm going to fold back one of these and put some along here. And that's all I'm going to do. Now, if you were putting in a little bit heavier of a treat, or you wanted to reinforce it more, you could also put some on these tabs on the bottom or add it in other places too. But I think this is probably good enough to hold tiny little treats. So here's my trick for lining this up. I'm going to work on lining up this bottom corner with this bottom corner. Okay, and remember that I cut the zigzags on the top and I might not have been quite perfect. So I'm not going to use that to line it up because I don't want it to be off on the bottom. There we go. I'll press and seal that. And then I'm going to do the other side. So this one, if you lay it flat, it should line up real nice for you. Like that. And you can decide, you will have that edge on either side. You can decide which side you want to be your front. A lot of times I find the one I lined up first looks just a little bit better, so that's going to be the front of my bag. And then I will fold in the tabs. So like I said, if you want to reinforce it more, you could put some on these. Whoops. I'll tear this piece off. Okay, and then I like to use like my take your pick tool or your bone folder and just kind of go along the bottom to really press that in. You could stick your hand in there too if you want to push it down. So now we've got our treat bag, and now we're going to decorate it. So I've got that fun little label piece, and we're going to stamp the Trick or Treat from the stamp set in Parakeet Party ink. Parakeet Party is such a fun color for Halloween if you are using a green. And the Trick or Treat fits right into that label. Just like that. Now before I close up the Trick or Treat, we're going to stamp the Frankenstein. And so I have a little piece of white cardstock that we're going to use for that. And if you have a Stamparatus or a stamp positioning tool, I recommend using it for this because it's just easier to line up. Oop, my Trick or Treat went flying. Hold on. Went flying right off my desk. Okay. I'm going to use my Stamparatus because especially when I'm doing the black that goes over the solid part of his face, I definitely want to get that nice and dark. So I'm just using my grid lines and lining up right here. And I'm going to use the Parakeet Party, and I've already lined this up, so we're good to go. To be honest with this first one, I eyeballed it and I did the black a second time and it worked okay. But if you have a stamp positioning tool, that's probably better than using your eyes, because I don't know if you're like me, but my eyes do not always work perfectly. Okay. I'm going to make sure that's still where I want it. Yep. Okay. And I'm going to grab my black ink. And now we'll ink up his eyes and his hair. And I don't know, my black never gets as dark as I want the first time. So that's why I'm using the Stamparatus so that I can do it again. Oh, my other stamp's getting in the way. I think I had the magnet in a different spot last time. Let's move it over here. There we go. Okay, press down on that. And then I'm going to ink him up again. It wasn't too bad the first time, but I'd like it a little bit darker, especially on his hair and on this side. Sometimes it moves just a little. It looks like it's going to be good. So press down again. If you are watching now or later, make sure you say hi. I don't know that anybody's joined me. Oh, maybe one person has joined me live. I don't know how good of a time this is for everybody, but it works for me. So definitely you can watch the replay, but I'd love to know you are watching. So please say hi in the comments. Okay, now we've got our little Frankenstein. I'm going to move this out of the way, and we're going to have to bring back in our die cutting machine. I'm going to grab the die to cut him out. I love it when we have the coordinating dies and we don't have to fuss cut. So again, I'm just using the big machine today because that gift bag needed a big space to go through. Otherwise, I would have my mini machine, which is a little bit easier to see on camera, but that's all right. My machine is old and squeaky. And the handle falls off sometimes. I don't know. It's missing something, I think. Okay, move that out of the way again. I use it a lot, so one of these days I'm sure it's going to just like, I don't know. What do they do when they break? Something's going to fall out of it, and I'm going to have to get a new one. Okay. So now we've got him. We've got our trick or treat, and I've cut the candy corn with the dies. So the candy corn is 3 pieces. Whatever you want your middle color to be, you're going to color, or you're going to cut out the whole candy cane image with that. So my center is going to be the parakeet party, and then I cut the little top piece with white and the bottom in gorgeous grape. Now, I don't know if there's actually candy corns this color, but I thought it was fun. So, and when I created these, I was thinking about the McDonald's treat buckets because I had done a few. I'll show you here in a minute the other treat bags that I created, and that's totally the color scheme I was going off of. Okay, I'm trying not to get glue all over my fingers. I don't use the green glue often, but I do like it for putting things together like this because you have a little bit of wiggle room to get that right where you want it. And see, I used too much glue because it splurched out at me. That is my problem with the green glue. I know less is more, but sometimes my glue's getting a little low. Sometimes I still use too much, and then it gets all over the place, which is never good. I don't know. Does anybody have tips on using the green glue for me? When we talked about adhesives last week, I asked for tips, but I don't know if anybody gave me any. So if you have tips for using the green glue, let me know. See, I must have glue on my finger or something because it got a little smudgy. That's okay. Okay, the candy corn I am going to put flat on the bag. So I'm going to go back to using my Stampin' Seal Plus. That's my favorite adhesive. But you can use what you want. And I'm going to put the candy corn flat. Then we're going to add our Frankenstein with some dimensionals. And then, let's see here, we'll do our trick or treat with dimensionals also. And you can stick your hand inside the bag to make sure that your adhesive attaches well. Okay, you don't want to cover up the words. There we go. Okay, now since I decided not to do the ribbon holes on this one and little handles, I'm going to do something different instead. This is our black and white gingham ribbon. It is in our annual catalog. We now have a vanilla and black version that's a little bit wider in our holiday catalog. And that one is pretty too. But I love the black and white for Halloween. Now let's see. I think I brought my scissors in here. Yes, I did. So I'm just going to do a bow this time. And this is probably how I would decorate my bag. I probably wouldn't take the time to make the little handles. They are cute, but if I'm being honest, I probably wouldn't. Would you put the handles on your bag? Let's see in the comments how many people would put the handles on their bag. Okay, so I could put the bow there. It looks cute there. I could put it up here. I could put it down there. I don't know if I like it down there. I don't know. We'll go up here. So there you go. You could put the bow there. You could make handles. You could do it however you want. So there's two different versions of the same thing. Okay. Oh, I forgot one thing. Now, these are not currently available. They're out of stock because they've been so popular. They are glow-in-the-dark bats and ghosts and their little embellishments. They're scheduled to be back in stock next week. So keep your eyes open for that and then get some. I'm going to show you on one of my cards the glow-in-the-dark paper. And that just came back in stock. So make sure you get some of that added to your order if you wanted it. All right, and then I think I had a third one up here, but I don't know. I arrange things kind of differently, or different enough. There's not as much room. There you go. So these are really cool. I do glow in the dark. My kids like to go in the bathroom because that's where it's the darkest in our house and see the glow in the dark bats and ghosts and the glow in the dark paper. They think that is a lot of fun. They do kind of have to be primed a little bit. So if you or your kids ever had in your room those stars that you put on your ceiling, I don't know. My daughter has some in her room, and we usually have to shine a light on them for a while before they glow. And I kind of have found the same thing with these. If you shine a light on them or put them by the light for a while first, then they glow better. So it's a little tip with those. Okay, now like I said, I designed some other treat bags. So this one used the little ghost in the die set, and I cut him out of the glow-in-the-dark paper. This one's gotten a little bent up, but that's okay. I did the haunted house in the stamp set. These stars are in the stamp set. So this is kind of a little fun bag. And I didn't do any of the extra die cutting at the top. So this one's just a plain one. Could stick some tissue in with a few treats. And actually, there's quite a bit of room in here for candy. So if that's what you're putting in there, I don't know. What are your ideas for what else to put in these bags? The possibilities are endless, I think. Okay, here's where I started to think about the McDonald's plastic buckets, because I'm pretty sure they have one with this guy on it. Dracula, is that who that is? I am up on my Halloween stuff. I made a regular candy corn for this one, and this is our Starry Sky metallic woven ribbon, and this is another pattern in the Them Bones Designer Series paper. It's the other side of that one. But then I decided to make a Christmas one. So not just Halloween, you can do Christmas too. And yes, I did make my rhinestones look like a Mickey head, kind of on purpose, kind of on accident. It's supposed to be holly berries, but I think it looks cute as a Mickey head. I don't know what you think. So little treat bags, if you are in need of them, this die set is for you, because you can make a treat bag out of any type of paper you'd like. Okay, we're going to go on to our second project. This one is a card, and I just love the candy corn die in this stamp set. And I don't know about you, but I don't really send Halloween cards, but I thought this is a fun card to send to anybody, any friend, anyone that you want to just give some happy mail. You can send it around this time of year, but it's not necessarily a Halloween card. So I am going to get the pieces out for this one. Now you might be wondering where this sentiment comes from. It is not in the Tricks and Treats stamp set. I was looking for one that had the word sweet in it, so I pulled out the Share a Milkshake stamp set, and it had this sentiment, life is sweeter with you, which I thought was perfect. We also have that cherry stamp set, I think, that has the word sweet in it. And I don't know, I didn't do some digging to see what other stamp sets we have that have words that would fit. You could, of course, just do Happy Halloween if you did want a Halloween card. You could really put anything here that you wanted. Happy birthday to someone whose birthday is around Halloween. So It could be anything, but I thought this was perfect. So for this one, we have a thick basic white card base, 5.5 by 8.5, and then we're going to fold it in half. Then I use some more of the Them Bones Designer Series paper. So this one is kind of more subtle, but it has Boo and Eek on it. The other side, so I kind of hesitated to cut into this side because I ruined this side of it. But this is different size pieces that could be used for card fronts or things like that. But I wanted to use this piece. So this piece is 4.25 by 5.5. And I'm just going to layer that onto my card base. And it made for just a nice, subtle background. Okay, then I cut a basic white deckled rectangle. This is our deckled rectangles dies. So different sizes of rectangles, and they just kind of have that torn edge look a little bit. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment from the Share a Milkshake stamp set. And I'm just using my black ink. And we'll stamp in the center at the bottom. So we have room for our candy corns. And then I'm going to mount that on a piece of black that measures 4 5/8 by 3 1/4. So we'll adhere that. And then, excuse me, I'm just going to layer it to my card base. Like that. Okay, and now we've got to glue our candy corns. Why do I only have 2 here? Counted wrong. Oh, the third one's still in the envelope. I was like, how did I count wrong? I did not count wrong. I just didn't dump all the pieces out. Okay, so we've got, again, whatever your center color is going to be, you want to cut the big piece. All right, I'm going to get out the green glue again. Let's hope I don't get too messy. Let's hope I have enough glue left in here to do this. Although I'm pretty sure I can manage with other adhesives. Because trust me, I used to like stay away from green glue like the plague. Now I use it some, but for many years, every time I used it, I would just get glue all over my fingers, and I didn't like that, so I avoided it at all costs. It does have its place, but it is not my main adhesive. Okay, there's one. Get the second one put together. Like I said, the candy corn dies might be, I don't know. There's lots of dies in this set I like, but I think the candy corn is so fun. Have you guys seen the Bag of Bones bundle with the skeletons and all of the fun pieces on there? That is a fun set too. I did not get it. I'm not a huge Halloween person, but I know a lot of you are. And I thought this set was a little cuter and I could find more uses for it. But I have seen some really cute projects with the Bag of Bones bundle. And that die set has a ton of little pieces like cowboy boots and all sorts of stuff you can add to the skeletons that is super fun. So I don't know. Which one do you like better? Tricks and Treats or Bag of Bones? And I know a few of you are really into Halloween and you will probably say both. That's okay too. Okay, so we've got those put together. Oh, I know what I was going to try. So I forgot though. So the white kind of blends into the white a little bit and not too bad. I was thinking I should use my blending brush and put a little like pumpkin pie ink behind the candy corns. I was going to try it on this one, but I forgot. So we'll make this one the same, and I guess I'll have to make another one later and see how it turns out. But it looks cute like this too. So I'm going to put my first one on and center it, and then I can kind of center the other two around it. because there is nothing worse than having off-center candy corns. I don't know. It would bug me. I think it's going to be a little off, and it is going to bug me. I don't know. Should have gotten out my grid paper, and then I would be a better judge. It is a little off. Okay. Not too bad, though. Okay, so there's our candy corns. Now, I am going to use that black and white ribbon again. If you do not have some of this and you are ordering, I highly recommend this ribbon. You can add it to your order, and then you'll have some to use on your projects, and plenty left over for other projects. I don't know why I have to turn it over to trim the other side. I'm just better at trimming the ends on one side, I guess. Okay, we're going to add that in the corner with a mini glue dot, like that. And then I'm just going to add a rhinestone on each side of my sentiment. So I'll grab my take your pick tool, which works great for picking these up, and put one on each side like that. There we go. Super cute. I did a presentation on this bundle for my team a few weeks ago, and I think this was my favorite project that I made. I lived. Okay, I hope you love it too. Okay, last project is another card. Now, I don't send Halloween cards, but I have heard of, I've meant to look this up. Have you heard of booing people? You've been booed. I think it involves leaving your neighbor's treats, and then you're supposed to pass it on and do that to somebody else. So I didn't look up the tradition. Maybe one of you can tell me more about it. But I thought this would be a cute card to go along with that because I use the boo die, and who wouldn't want to get something cute and handmade in a little gift like that? So that is what we are going to do next. Now this one has a pumpkin pie card base, and I was kind of going off of my design from this treat bag, but I wanted to do a card instead. So that is where the idea came from. So again, I have my pumpkin pie card base, 5.5 by 8.5, and fold in half. I have a piece of basic black that's 5.25 by 4, and then my designer series paper is 5 by 3 3/4. And same paper, the Them Bones designer series paper. So if you are working on Halloween projects, this is the Halloween paper this year, and it is pretty amazing. If you go into my online store and you find this paper, it will show you pictures of all of the patterns on there so you can see them. Okay, so I've laid that down. Now I cut out a moon. This is Daffodil Delight cardstock, and I use the 2 3/8 inch circle punch. And I'm going to add just a little bit of shading on my moon. So let me pull in some grid paper so we don't make a big mess over here. And I have my Daffodil Delight ink and a blending brush. So I'm just going to pick up a little ink with the blending brush and then just go around the edges. Just adds a little dimension to your moon. And it's really easy to do too. It's not like it takes a lot of time or effort, but it adds something extra to your card. So I don't know, I think that looks good. Move this out of the way. And then before I attach this, I'm going to use the little bats from the stamp set, from the Tricks and Treats stamp set, and my black ink again. And we will just stamp the bats up here. You could stamp them more than once if you want. I thought once was good. Okay, I'm going to layer this on with my Stampin' Seal Plus. There we go. Okay, then next I am going to stamp my Haunted House. And this one I've put on my Stamparatus too, just because it's black again, and I know it's going to take me a couple of tries. Everything's sticking to the magnets on my Stamparatus over here. I know it's going to take me a couple tries to get it as dark as I would like. So I'll take off that other one. I'm going to line it up in the same spot. And again, you can eyeball it. You don't have to use a stamp positioning tool. I just found that that was probably easier, and I am less likely to mess it up. Not completely unlikely, but less likely. Okay, so we'll stamp the haunted house. And I would like it just a little bit darker so we don't have any of those little white spots. It's not too bad, but this is my trick for getting the really, really crisp dark images. And then you can push, you know, in the spot where you needed more black. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So move that out of the way. Close our ink so we have no accidents. And then I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine one more time to cut this guy out. Let's pull that back in. And we're going to line it up. So this purple tape, I think I'm going to have to buy more on Amazon. One of my customers sent it to me a few years ago at Christmas time. It's just called purple tape, and it works really well to hold your dies in place. So that's a little tip for you. And the one roll she got me a few years ago, I am still using. It is getting close to the end now, but it lasted for quite a while because I just stick it on top of my handle here, and I keep using the same pieces until they stop sticking, or until they break, or yeah, I just keep using them. So it has lasted me quite a while. Okay, now let's assemble the rest of our card. So I'm going to put my haunted house on with some dimensionals. Right there. Then I cut a gorgeous grape banner with the Stylish Shapes dies. And I'm just going to lay that down flat and tuck the end under here. I must have a dimensional there. Well, okay, it can go out that far. Then I have cut the Boo with the Tricks and Treats dies. And I cut the Ghost with the Tricks and Treats dies out of the glow-in-the-dark paper. So this is another one where my kids would love to take it in the bathroom where it's dark and see it glow. So I am going to use my Stampin' Seal on him. Of course, you could use glue if you want. Line him up so that he is just on the bottom of the banner. And then for the Boo, the smart thing to do would be to use our adhesive sheets on your paper before you cut it. And then it kind of turns this into a sticker. But I forgot, so I'm using the green glue again. And I'm trying to have a light hand, but I don't know how well that's working. Then we are going to put the Boo across him. Look at that. Oops. Hold it down for a second so it will stay. Okay, now before I add my ribbon to my house, I am going to add a little wink of Stella on the haunted house. So this is like a glitter brush. It's kind of like, it's a little like watercoloring, like the old ones you can use, like our aqua painters. You can push to release more glitter into the brush. I tend not to do that while I'm actually using it, because sometimes you will get a big glob of glitter coming out, and that's not what we want. So I'm going to give it a little squeeze here ahead of time. That way, if any big globs come out, they don't get on my project. The Wink of Stella has been out of stock for a while. We don't have an estimated date, which makes me kind of wonder what's going on with it. But if you have one, this is kind of a fun little touch to add to your project. And I don't know exactly how well it shows up on camera, but after I finish, I will see if I can get it to show up, because a sparkly haunted house is better than a regular one, right? I don't know. I think a sparkly haunted house is better than a regular one. I don't know. My Wink of Stella might be getting a little low too, because I haven't been getting as much out of it recently. So hopefully they are back in stock soon and I can get another one. But it's a fun way to add a little extra sparkle to your projects. And on camera, it doesn't show that great, but in real life, anyone who gets your sparkly project will love it. So, I don't know. You can kind of see, I guess. But if you've used it before, oh, there we go. You know that it adds some sparkle, and that is fun. Okay, let me grab my black and white ribbon again. So again, if you place an order this week and you get the class kit, I'm not going to include the ribbon or embellishments. You can just use whatever ribbon or embellishments that you have at home that you want to use. But if you spend over $60, I will include a package of rhinestones, and then you will get the embellishment. So keep that in mind. If you are ordering the class kit and you're ordering $50 to get that, just spend $10 more and you can get your rhinestones for free. Okay, I guess I should make this a little smaller maybe. I was not thinking about where I was putting it. It's going on the house, doesn't need to be huge. So we'll just trim it and make it a little bit smaller. There we go. Add our bow with a mini glue dot right on the house. And then for our rhinestones on this one, you could leave them as is, but I always think it's fun to make them match your project. So I have my light basic black Stampin' Blends marker. I only have the light because my dark is broken or ran out or something, and I need to order a new set. But this works just fine. So I'm just using this marker to color some of my rhinestones. You can do this with any of our Stampin' Blends markers. Have a light touch. It does tear up the brush a little bit. So keep that in mind. If you like your markers to be perfect and pristine, or you use that brush end for coloring a lot, you might not want to do this, but it's fun. So that's why I do it. Okay, so then I'm going to add my black rhinestones on here to finish off my card. And we'll put that one down there. So there you go. Wouldn't that be a fun little addition to your little treat or whatever you're using to boo your neighbors? Please, somebody tell me more about that, because I don't know too much about it. Okay, so let's bring the projects back in. We have this card. We have our candy corn card. And we have our little treat bag. So again, remember, if you would like to get a little kit to make these projects, it will include all the papers. I will cut everything for you, die cut the candy corns, die cut the ghost, die cut the banner. For the house and the Frankenstein, the things you need to stamp first, I'll give you the little white piece to stamp them on. You provide your own ink, your own adhesives, and then your own ribbon and embellishments. So again, I think I said all the measurements in the video, so you could recreate these yourself if you have the products. If you would like the PDF tutorial, you can place an order of any size between now and the 26th. $50 order will get you the class kit, and $60 you'll get the class kit plus the rhinestones for free. Now I have a few other cards to show you. I don't remember if I showed these when I did the swap cards a few weeks ago, but I did get a couple of swap cards using this bundle. This one I wanted to show you because I think it's super fun. She turned the Frankenstein into a lady, and this reminds me of the Munsters. She used the Cloud Punch, the Songbird Builder Punch, and the basic border dies to create her hair. And then she just added with her marker a line for the lips and eyelashes, and then she colored in the little cheeks. I think that is super fun and creative. And that one Let's see who it's from. My paper's folded over the wrong way. This one was Cindy Dix. So I think I've showed her card several times because I thought that was so creative. And then this one is pretty basic. This is that fractured card technique. And these are new embossing folders in our mini catalog. But again, the candy corn. And then the ink is from the stamp set too. That one is from Carol Payne. Super cute. Now, I told you I would show you a different way to use a few of the dies. So let me bring those back in. Remember we had this zigzag to cut the top of the bags. Now, this is not quite long enough to do a border on a full-size card, but you can use it as a little border underneath your sentiment, which I think is fun. So this is the fall paper that is out of stock, but it'll be coming back. This is the So Sincere stamp set. And then I cut this out of, it's a luster specialty paper that's in our annual catalog. It comes in our in colors. And I just thought that makes a super fun border. So it does not have to just be for the top of the treat bags. And in this one, the label fits the trick or treat, of course, in this stamp set. But you can use it for any sentiment. So this is another sentiment in that So Sincere stamp set and the fall paper again. And I'm sure we have lots of other sentiments that fit in this label too. So even if you are not a Halloween person, still consider these dies because there are lots of things you can do with them. And it doesn't have to always do with Halloween. So thank you so much for watching today. I'm going to bring the projects in one last time for a peek. If you are just joining in, you can go back and watch the replay, and I will be back next week. Bye.